I myself have even suffered from, things like anxiety in certain situations. I remember, right now I do a ton of public speaking, whether it's in a forum like this, where it's being recorded, or going on stage in an event, or even just speaking in front of my company at Thinkific. But I remember one of my first big public speaking experiences. It was actually a comedy show, and I was meant to go on as the first act after the intermission. And at the intermission, someone came up and asked me if I'd had a stroke. Like, they literally thought, like, my face was like so tight on one side, my neck was like tensed up, my head was off to the side, and they're like, "Are you okay? You kind of look like you've had a stroke."
Yeah.
And they weren't joking. Like, they actually were seriously concerned about me. And I was just paralyzed. And I seriously considered running away before my little thing my skit started. Yeah, absolutely paralyzed with fear of public speaking for a long time.
But when you felt that way, what pushed you to actually get on a stage? Like, how did you? Was it self-talk? Was it something else?
So there's what I did then and what I find works better for me now. I think in those two instances, the things that got me on stage was actually my fear of disappointing everyone and running away turned out to be bigger than my fear of the stage. So they were both really big fears, but it was just like, okay, if I run away, I'm still gonna have to face everyone tomorrow when they're like, "Where'd you go?"
Yeah.
So it was almost like the bigger fear kind of won out of like, I can't run away. So what I found, what worked for me was, in those scenarios, was saying yes. So saying yes and putting myself kind of in this inescapable position forced me to go face this fear. And it was terrible and terrifying, but then I got through it and I came out the other side a little better. And then I would then use that as a positive self-talk story. And I started to sort of have that internal dialogue of, for the next time someone asked me if I wanted to speak, so my rule is always say yes to these speaking opportunities, because I'm terrified of it. So take the thing you're most terrified and then always say yes. And put yourself in that situation over and over, because stress and fear usually comes from exposure to something new and unknown. And the more you become inured to it, or the more you become exposed to it, the less likely it is to stress you out. You even see this if you look at studies in Lebanon with decades of bomb dropping and civil war. There are people there who over a period of decades have gotten to the point where bombs dropping down the street don't stress them out, at least not at the level that it would you or I. And that isn't, that's just that they've been so overexposed to it. I don't think it's a healthy thing, but they've been so overexposed to it that it's no longer a stress event for them. So to me, to reduce stress is just about exposing yourself to that thing over and over. And then as you have some wins, you create positive self-talk of, I did it before and it wasn't that bad and I came out alive, and I even, maybe something good happened. And then you just tell yourself that story and it gives you more power to go and do it. And then the last one obviously is preparation. The more I prepared, the better I was able to kind of go into it and be okay with it.
Alright, so if you're still watching this video, the chances are you really enjoyed it. And if that's the case, well, first of all, thank you for your time, but also make sure that you subscribe and click on that little bell notification button. The simple reason is that if you don't click on it, you may not get notified when I publish new videos. Once again, thank you so much and have an amazing day.